Hi, in this section here, I'll be explaining how you can set up and build a journalist agent, and you can also call it a content creation agent for blogs. Now, content creation is expensive, journalism is expensive because it involves repetitive tasks and time consuming. Most businesses and journalists struggle to consistently publish SEO optimized content. Now, what are our focus? Our focus is going to be on marketing team who are actually spending hours researching and writing, and also SEO optimized content, publishing the content themselves, and then also the content consistency. Small businesses cannot afford, and also large agency cannot afford to build a larger team. Now, what is the solution? The solution is to automate the entire content creation lifecycle using n8n, AI, and then also WordPress. And WordPress is going to be the final destination for the content that we're going to be creating and generating today, powered by our AI agent workflow that we're about to orchestrate. Most big businesses and the most popular blog sites, they tend to put their blog on WordPress. Now, we're going to be focusing on something called a schedule trigger. The schedule trigger is basically a node in n8n that you can specify the day when that you want the blogs to be triggered. In this case here, as you can see, the day is day 1 by 9 a.m. We want this to be triggered. The workflow runs on schedule that you define, and this is where you define the workflow. Now, once you publish it for testing, you can trigger it manually, which is what we're going to be doing. And then once we publish it, it will automatically be published by 9 a.m. Now, the next step is going to be, we're going to be consuming these news data endpoint. Now, news data IO, if you go to news data IO, you generate your API token. But before we get there, we're going to be using a get record to obtain the data from news data, and you'll be passing the API key. Now, the category of business that we want to generate for is business. The language is English, the country is the US, the size is 1. We only want one content. Now, if you go to news data, IO, and which is they pride themselves as the best news API to search, collect, and track worldwide news. Now here, we're going to be getting the API key here. You can sign up for your account to sign up for the key. And you can also scroll down to actually get more information about the API key. You can check the API key and familiarize yourself with the environment. Now, back to this. Then here, you're going to specify all these values. Now, the next thing will be, we're going to be passing that to OpenAI. Now, in OpenAI, you specify your credential at the top. Then followed by the resource is what? Is text. Not audio, no assistant, not file. Text, and then you specify the model of your choice. Here we're going to be using GPT-4o mini, and then the prompt is going to be, you excel at transforming news into interesting article without plagiarism, and then you specify your prompt. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to structure the response, and then this is a small JavaScript code which basically just obtain the values that you get from from your AI model that transform the data. Now the next thing is, once you're able to obtain the data, we need to generate an image, and this image, remember, every single news article comes with an image. Then we use OpenAI to also generate the image, and then we use GPT model. Our GPT model is GPT image 1. We're not using DALL-E 2 or DALL-E 1. We are using GPT image 1. And then the operation here, you say generate image, not analyze image, but generate image. The resource here is image. Previously, the resource we were using was text, but here is going to be image. Now, once the image has been generated, you're also going to resize the image and also edit it. Why are we doing this? The reason we are doing this is here, as you can see, the image that actually got generated is quite large. That's 2.6 megabyte. Now, after the resize, guess what? It's 1.07 megabyte. And then also the file size, you also in terms of the width and the height, so that it follows WordPress recommended dimension. Now, once the image has been resized, you can send the image directly to your WordPress. Now for your WordPress, this is the WordPress that we're using. I set up a WordPress account called africa.bbd.com, and this is where we're going to be posting the content to. That's the image. And then also, once the image has been generated, we're going to merge the image alongside with the content, and then we're going to finally publish it to the blog site here. Now it gets published. The method here is going to be post. We're publishing to the blog site, and guess what? We're going to be passing the title, the content, the status, feature image, category. We're going to be passing it to the blog content. So that is what we're going to be covering here. Now to do that, the first thing you want to do is you click on schedule. Oh, excuse me. You have the plus here. You can search for the schedule, which is the trigger. Then here, you slowly come down here. So now here, you create an HTTP request and then you map it to the schedule. Once that is done, you open it. You specify your API key. Also, the first thing you want to do is the method, followed by the URL. Authentication type here is none. And also, you want to send query parameter. Then the query parameter you're sending is API key, which is this key here. The category is business. The language is English. The country, US. Size is 1. You don't need to send the header. We are not also sending a body. Why? Because this is a GET request. Now, the next thing is you connect that to your OpenAI. And also, if you also decide to give it a different name. But yeah, let's call it OpenAI. Now, the first thing you want to do is specify your credential. In your credential, you can select the predetermined new credential. Here, I have OpenAI account. I could also switch to n8n free OpenAI credit, which I already have. Now, the next thing is your resource. It's going to be text. Then followed by your model. Here, we want to search for GPT-4 mini. And then you specify the prompt and the role system. And the prompt here, and you give it the exact instruction of your choice. Here, instruction is we want you to completely write a complete original blog post about this news. Now, the value of this news here, where is being obtained by the response that we got from, we actually got from the news endpoint that was requested, and that is what? News data. Now, the response from news data, in terms of the title, you pass it from here. You can drag and drop it here, or you can type it out. And the structure here is basically the JSON response, the result, the first item. Remember, we're only obtaining just the first item here, and then guess what? The title here. But this title version is being dropped here. For the description, you can grab this description, you can drop it right here. For example, let me show you. Description, you can drag and drop right here. That's it. And the requirement, you can also specify a requirement. In this case, we're telling it to create a unique engaging title. You should write exactly 5 separate paragraphs. Include your own analysis and perspective. Do not copy, paraphrase from the original source. End with a thoughtful conclusion. Format the response as a clean JSON without backticks. And the role here is user. Simplify the output. That has been specified. Now, this is going to be the output that you're going to get. The next thing you want to do is you want to transform this response to be properly structured so that you can use the response. But yeah, we just create a small JavaScript application here. Let me come out of it. Zoom out, zoom back in here. Now here you can actually see this is the content that is about to be delivered in the as a news content. Now every single news content needs to have an image. It's advisable. And if you check out Medium or CNN or BBC or those interesting website news platform or dev platform, you actually see that they tend to have an image. So in this case here, you need to generate an image and attach it to the content. Now, the next thing you want to do is you can also use AI. Let's use ChatGPT. Let's use GPT to generate the image. Now here, you specify your account, your credential. I won't be using my n8n free OpenAI credit because I want to limit that to text usage. Here, I'll be using my OpenAI account, which I already linked. The resource here is into the image, and what we're doing here is generate an image here. And the model here is GPT-1. And this prompt, it says, create a professional view image showing the title. Now here, I want to pass the title so that the image that gets generated aligns with the content that is coming from the news itself. You don't want to generate an image that varies significantly from the content itself. So you are telling this model that, hey, create a professional real image showing, and here you specify the title from your JSON object, plus the image should reflect key theme from this content, which is JSON.content, and the substring here we're also limiting the a fragment, an excerpt from the content itself. Here it says extract a fragment of the string at the given position for more advanced extraction. It should also say an example here. Now here, as you can see, it says if you zoom in here, as in this example, if you want to understand substring, hello from n8n dot substring, the output is going to be 1 2 3 4 5, which is the very first letter 1 2 3 4 5. From what? From that. The very first character from there. Here is going to be from the content, which is going to be 1 2 all the way to 180. So an excerpt of this section somewhere around there, it's going to be extracted and it's going to be passed. So that means that the title and then also the content of the message, of the content, we need to create an image that is based on it. And the next thing is, once the image has been generated, the image needs to be resized. The reason it needs to be resized is because sometimes the content, the image can be, the size of the image can be way too much. In this case here, it is 2.16 megabyte. Now after the resize, it becomes 1.07 megabyte. If the image is too large, you can actually slow down the site. The rendering of the page itself. It's going to take a while because it's trying to download the entire full size. Now also in the editing the image or resizing the image, we're also specifying the width and the height as well. And the operation is what is resize. Now once it has been resized, the next thing will be you will need to post it to your WordPress. In this case here, we are basically just using HTTP request here, which is a post method. We are sending it to this URL, and authentication, now you need to authenticate it to your WordPress site. Now the credential type, you could specify WordPress and WordPress API, and then you specify the API here. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can integrate your WordPress with n8n. To do that, it basically just follow the same sign up pattern. Here, as you can see, this is a samples site that I actually have spun up, and here you can actually see these users. Here I'll be using this AP user. If I click on it, and or we could also decide to create a new user entirely, but we can also use an existing user as well. So here, this is the user, and the name has specified to be n8n agent. That's the nickname, so that it's clearly visible. And email, this is the email of the user. Now WordPress has a functionality called application password. So the application password technically allows you to authenticate into your WordPress website via a non-interactive system, such as if you want to send an HTTP request, like a REST API request, without actually providing your actual password. So you don't need to put the actual password into n8n. You can use this application password because the application can easily be revoked and they cannot be used for traditional login to your website. So somebody having it, and if you revoke it here, guess what? Nobody will be able to access your website. In this case here, you can also new password name. We can call it test n8n agent. I wrote engine n8n agent. You can add password. You can see it's a new password that has been generated. Now when you copy this, you can then go back to your n8n, and in this case here, and then you can create a new credential here. Now you use your username to be your username, and then the password is going to be the password. Username is going to be the email address that is associated with that account, which is this here. Here it is tbola45 plus api@gmail.com, and that is this. But the password is going to be that's going to be the application password that is just generated recently, and that could be here. And then you specify your WordPress URL here, and you ignore SSL in case whether you want to connect, even if SSL verification validation is not possible. Now here you want to save, and then let's close this. And this is how you can set up your WordPress account in n8n. So now that is how you are going to create your WordPress account, and you can add it as your WordPress API. Now in sending the headers, you have to specify the headers here. Content disposition, attachment file name is image.png. Body content type n8n binary file. And in terms of the data, yeah, you just put down data feed here. Now once this image has been generated and it has been posted to your WordPress, now you need to also obtain, you need to also send it to, you need to merge it alongside with the content that was coming, and then once you merge it, you then forward it to your WordPress. Basically you are combining the body of the message, the body of your blog, or the body of your content, or of what you're about to post, alongside with what, with the image that comes with the content itself. You merge it and then you post it directly, and that is what this is it. Now here it says the name, this is the title that was that came from the content that was generated, and then the content itself, this is the content itself. And also the status, you want to put the status to publish. You could decide not to publish it, but for this sake we're going to choose publish. And then also for the featured media here, remember we already published the image, right? Once the image has been published, what we need is the ID. So the output data of the HTTP request of the image that we sent out, we need to take the ID and then we need to attach it with the content, so that when the content gets published, the ID of the image that was previously pushed to the site will be attached to the content that we're trying to publish. Now that is this here, and that is the reason you're seeing this step here. The first thing here we did was what? Publish the image. When we publish the image, get what we get in return. We also get an ID in return, which is this here. As you can see, output. The input was the image. The output is basically a confirmation that says that what, the image has been created in your WordPress. And guess what? This is the output, 1096. Now, and then the ID gets merged with the content that is coming, and that is what we have here. You combine the position, output of numbers, number of input 2, and then back to this. Now here, that is the feature image, you get combined, and the category here is business. This category also came from the category of the that we're actually searching for, which is what's on the beginning, it was business. And the output here is going to be this, and it says it actually rendered. This is the image, and this is the URL of the content that we actually published. And the status here is modified, is the date, this is the slug, this is the status, is published. Type is a post. Link is a link. Title, you can see all of this interesting information that you can see. And this is the excerpt. The author is number 3 on the list. These are the information about the blog that just get published. Now let us check this blog. As you can see, this is a blog that was created by that agent. Now it has been triggered. There's a workflow. It was able to obtain the data directly from the news data API. Let me actually check this out. If you do not specify your API key, you'll be getting this error. Now back to this. That's the reason you have to specify your API key here. Okay, and this is what it was able to obtain. Was able to obtain it from this link here. So it's going to go to that link, obtain this content, understand it, and it's going to summarize it. It's going to summarize the content here, and then just create its own content based on that and make it human readable and human digestible content. See, our workflow executed successfully. But while that happened, let's just make sure. As you can see, it was able to ingest all the content from the URL, and this is the output that it came up with. And the code basically transform it and make them passable, and was able to generate its own image. And then was able to edit the image. The image it was able to generate was 1.9 megabyte, and the output was able to resize it to 1.4 megabyte. And then this HTTP request that it was able to pass and post the image, then was able to match the content and the image that is sent over to WordPress. And this is the content that I was able to generate. Now you can check this content out. Let's check the image it was able to generate. Interesting. It was able to generate this content. The Indian rupee source. What the US-Iran deal mean for global market? I believe it's using this text here, which is quite interesting. That's genius. Okay, so now you can see it was able to generate the content here. You can actually see here, and then you can fine-tune the way you generate the content yourself by checking out the model and the instruction that is being passed. So this journalist agent was able to generate content, blog content material, and was also able to generate an image that the content that aligns with the content. So this is how you can build a journalist agent that can autonomously, continuously generate image. And also you can specify multiple triggers. You can also specify different category of business, but here we are actually specifying business because we want to generate a business journalist agent that works autonomously. Now, as you can see, let's also verify WordPress. Let me refresh this. You see the last time this was used was today here. And if you revoke this access, it's going to revoke the access of your agent as well, but we don't want to do that. Now back to the site, and you can also click on execution to actually have a close eye monitoring of your previous execution. So as the agent is running autonomously every single day based on your schedule configuration, the whole flow will be running automatically. Once you're done with your setup and everything looks good, if you want to publish it live, once you publish it live, it simply means your agent will be creating a new content every day by 9 a.m. To publish it, you click on publish. And version, main, you can call it main, or you can call it ready for prod, or ready to go live. You publish it. Your trigger will now fire production execution automatically. This execution will not show up immediately in the editor, but you can see them in execution list if you choose to save execution. Let's say got it. And then here it's asking to set up error notification, test reliability of AI steps, track time saved, enable MCT. We are not doing any of this. So, and this is how you publish your journalist agent, and you go live.